This decision will have major impact on the San Antonio Spurs, as an NBA insider says that the Spurs are ready right now to go compete for a championship, but the contract of De'Aaron Fox is looming over the heads of the San Antonio Spurs. Do they extend him? How much are they going to extend him for? There is a list, an analyst out there saying that De'Aaron Fox is overrated. Also, there are people saying that he is still a top 10 guard in the game. Fox is the topic of conversation here, and we are going to discuss him and the San Antonio Spurs here on Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. But if you guys haven't yet, make sure you guys take a spur of the moment to get every Spurs moment by hitting that free subscribe button down there so you don't miss all the great content we have coming for you. We are closing in on 10,000 subscribers, and we are so thankful for that, and we hope that we are able to keep the love and that passion growing here at Spurs Digest. We cannot do that without you. But first off, are the Spurs gearing up for a trade this coming season? The San Antonio Spurs have had a very strong draft selecting Dylan Harper at 2, Carter Bryant at 14, both of whom have become foundational pieces moving forward in free agency. On the trade market, however, the Spurs have made some decisions now that collectively seem curious. Signed Luke Kornet to a 4-year, $41 million deal, just under $24 million guaranteed. They also traded for Kelly Olynyk from the Washington Wizards, taking on his $13.4 million contract for 25-26 on top of that. It's $24.4 million for the both this season. I loved both moves. I thought that both moves were needed. We needed bigs. Charles Bassey obviously is no longer going to be on the roster. That was something that we needed to address. Backup bigs for Wemby, and that's what we did. But it's financial bit of financial cheddar when you consider neither will have a starting role, both playing behind Wemby and Sochan. They can easily match salaries on most players when talking trade, with Keldon Johnson at $17.5 million, Harrison Barnes at $19 million. Both of those are movable and aligned via trade draft selections. This isn't to say the Spurs are looking to dramatically accelerate their timeline. The organization has shown patience even after the selection of Wembanyama, and seems to insist on creating long-term competitive windows, which is the right play. That is that is the right play, of course. Wemby time frame is now until forever. So you want to maximize what you have now, but you don't want to nullify and negate what the possibilities of having in the future. So you don't want to put all your eggs in the basket of, say, a 34-year-old that is getting heavily paid, because maybe in like 3 years that's going to put you in a terrible financial bind. You don't want to have to go do that. But the Spurs are in the position right now where you have a guy like De'Aaron Fox, who has been a very huge topic of conversation on one side and on the other side. Right here, analyst calls De'Aaron Fox one of the most overrated players in the league. He goes on, Zach Buckley of Bleacher Report published a list of the 5 most overrated players in the NBA, placing Spurs guard De'Aaron Fox 5th behind Austin Reeves, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyler Hero, and LaMelo Ball. Public perception tends to regard him as a first or second tier floor general, but functionally he is more like a 6'3 shooting guard, Buckley explained, with a shaky outside shot and less than elite passing vision and defense impact that falls way short of what his physical tools make you think he'd deliver. Buckley still thinks that Fox is a good player, just not world-changing great player. Playing alongside Wemby should make things easier for Fox, but only played 17 games for the Spurs last season, not large enough sample size to see if it works. And that is for sure. We see here, this is over the totality of last year, 23.5 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 1.5 steals, shot that 31% from the 3, 46% from the floor. But talking about De'Aaron Fox in that light, like, why is he not a playmaker? Why can't he get downhill? What about his game is not allowing him to become that high-level playmaker with less than elite passing vision? I don't believe you need to be an elite passer to be a very good floor general. You have to understand pace, time, situation, and that was someone who was a clutch player of the year a couple years back. There are very good point guards in this league, But De'Aaron Fox, I think, is not done any favors on this list. But when you get over to the other side, there are analysts out here saying the Spurs are forgetting a one hard fact about De'Aaron Fox, with him being a top 10 point guard in the league, one of the best guards in the league. Clearly, some have forgotten the superstar had to deal with a dislocated finger on his shooting hand last season. It happened in training camp, so there'll never be a time when he was completely healthy. Despite that, averaged close to 25 points per game in those games, even dropped to 60 piece against Minnesota in November. They lost that game in overtime, and 60 points on 35 shots, 63% from the floor and 60 from three. Fox has to be in the top 10 when it comes to point guards. When you think about the top guards in the league, they go as follows, not in any order here: Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Jalen Brunson, Kyrie Irving, Tyrese Halliburton, Cade Cunningham, De'Aaron Fox, Trae Young, and Damian Lillard. What all these players have in common is they're playing a pretty unstoppable, and that goes for the San Antonio's franchise point guard. He did forget Steph Curry there, but that is fine. So you have this guy in De'Aaron Fox who still at least is around, if not, he is firmly in that top 10. But on the other side, you have analysts calling him the most overrated player in the league, with the Spurs being in a position to say, hey, we can go make a push. And the thing that with De'Aaron Fox that becomes so vital and so important is the fact that he's going to be in a contract year. And when you get Dylan Harper, when you draft Carter Bryant, but especially Dylan Harper, a guy who's going to play the same position, 6'6", 205, 215, roughly around there, long arms, athletic, can get downhill, can do a lot of the things that De'Aaron Fox can do. What does that mean for De'Aaron Fox on this team? That is the major decision of what the Spurs are going to have moving forward, and that decision there is going to alter the future of the organization. Because if they sign De'Aaron Fox on a max contract, that is basically saying down the line, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, one of you, Jeremy Sochan, like one of those are definitely going to have to go, maybe two, depending on how you can work the contracts, because clearly the second Wemby can get his rookie extension, max extension, he is going to get that max extension. We know that. So they do that, they sign him there, that's going to be telling. If they sign him to a 4 or 5 year deal compared to a 2 or 3 year deal, if they're able to do that, that's also going to be telling. The De'Aaron Fox bomb that is waiting to drop, whenever that is going to be made, it will decide what you will be able to tell the direction of what the San Antonio Spurs are planning to do in the future with the roster they have currently constructed with De'Aaron Fox. And August 2nd, that opens up for him to make a decision on that contract. If the Spurs and him have been able to come to terms on anything, we don't know. The Spurs don't typically leak out that kind of information, but we will see what happens with De'Aaron Fox. But this is a major domino, because once that falls, we will know the future of the San Antonio Spurs. But what do you think the future of the San Antonio Spurs should be? What kind of contract do you feel like De'Aaron Fox should get? Do you feel like he's overrated or underrated? Top 10, not top 10? And with all of that, if you do think that De'Aaron Fox might not be right for this team, is he a guy you think we should trade? What do you guys think should happen with the San Antonio Spurs? But that will do it for this video of Spurs Digest with your host, Keenan Warner. We appreciate all of you guys. Again, we're on that road to 10K. If you guys have made it this far in the video, just hit that subscribe button down there if you haven't already. We appreciate all of you guys, and we'll be seeing you guys very soon.